What's up, guys? Welcome to the Mississippi Real Estate Podcast, hosted by Ryan Watson.
And I'm Trip Sproul, where it's all about real life, real talk, and real estate.
Join us as we dive into the stories, trends, and insider tips shaping the world of Mississippi real estate.
Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or you're just curious about the market, we've got all the insights you need to navigate with confidence. So if y'all are ready, let's get real.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode. This is actually part 2 with Shannon Elliott from Elliott Law Firm, and we were so happy to have you back today.
Oh, thank you.
And we're looking forward to some stories and things that we wish we could have got to in our last one. And before we get started, I want to go ahead and let y'all know that I understand exactly what's going on with my hair. Y'all may not, but we just did a funny video, and
Well, we didn't. You did.
yeah, we did, as in Sarah and I, and it's gonna be coming out soon, but it's called The Best. But it ain't about me today. Just want to let y'all know that's why I've got my hair like I do, because it
You want
was.
to give them a side view?
Yeah, let me get y'all this. Get some of that. It's called getting your hair did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I did
was
that.
telling Shannon before this, like, when you go, you commit. So
I commit. I'm
you gotta-
all in.
You're all in.
You
So-
got to
You're
give
a
you
team
that.
player.
For sure.
Y'all
Yeah.
can look forward to that funny video when it comes out. All right, it's not about me today. It's about Miss Shannon. So, Miss Shannon, you got some cool stories for us today, and what you think?
Well, probably the craziest,
we want to hear the craziest.
the very craziest,
Craziest.
the very craziest thing that we've had happen is we had a closing that was set to happen in the Madison office, and the seller was coming from out of state, the seller husband. And so all day, and it was right before the holiday. It was on a Friday before, I think Labor Day was on following Monday. And so all day he kept calling. He couldn't get there. He was trying to get his check, get funds, kind of everything. It was a cash deal. There was no lender involved. And so anyway, everybody else signed. That evening when he got in town, John said, just come by my house. We live in Flowood. Come by my house and we'll let you sign. So he came by, signed the paperwork, gave a check, and talked about how this is just the American dream, getting to buy a house, all this. Had good conversation, whatnot. So anyway, leaves. That following Monday's a holiday. Tuesday, disperse the loan, make the payoff, give the sellers their money, pay the agents, deposit his check, everything's running along. And on Thursday, we get notice from the bank that it looks like it's a fraudulent check.
Oh, boy.
$340,000 check. Okay, are you sure? Because normally if somebody is trying to commit fraud, they're going to be out of the picture. It's not somebody that's going to stick around and think they can just live in a house for free and not pay for it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, long story short, it was a check that he made. You would have never known. It looked exactly like a cashier's check you'd get from the bank. It was perfect.
Oh my gosh.
We had dispersed the loan. It was a done deal. And so we had to essentially buy the house. John and I did. And we had to resell it to recoup our money.
Oh my God.
And so, yes.
Wow.
So in the process,
That is a crazy. So
I'm trying to absorb that right
Yeah.
now.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
trying to process this. So,
So-
it was a cash deal.
it's a cash deal.
So usually they're a
So
little more
we
simple.
call, hey, the bank is saying your check is not good.
Panic mode.
Tell us we're wrong, please. So,
Yeah.
okay, I'll have you a check tomorrow. I know it is. I'm going to have you a check tomorrow.
And that's to keep all the other funds.
Well, the other funds had gone. Come Tuesday, we sat down with that file. We're back in the office and we're dispersing it. And we make the payoff. We give the seller their funds because they were going to buy another house. We paid the agents. All the money's gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Well, all the
It's dispersed. That's
Yeah.
right. So we had to, we're paying that money out. We had
Sure.
paid that, so we had to cover it immediately, so those checks wouldn't be.
Out of escrow.
Yeah, those checks wouldn't be bad.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so we continued to talk to him, which was odd too. A lot of times when somebody frauds you, they also hide from you and that kind of thing. And he didn't. He continued to talk to us and tell us it's going to be tomorrow or whatnot. Well, then he he quit talking to us. And so we had to use the Flowood Police Department because it happened at our house. That's where we took the check. And anyway, he ends up gets himself to a facility in Louisiana. And Anna was paralegal that worked the file. She gets an email that says, please tell John and Shannon, I'm so sorry. By the time you read this email, I won't be around, that kind of thing. But he didn't take his life.
Oh, I was like, whoa, this is taking a big time.
I know,
Oh,
he didn't.
yeah.
But I mean, I think it was kind of whatever, so he could get in a facility, because if he's in this facility in Louisiana, they can't pick him up. So I mean, it was almost like, really, but
Like a halfway house or something?
No, like checked into some like mental type thing.
Yeah.
And so at that point, they can't pick him up. So anyway, long story short, he finally gets here. His wife didn't even know he was doing that. They ended up getting a divorce. She had to move out of the house.
Oh my gosh.
We had to go in and do some landscape and stage
it. Makes you
and
think too, like, was that his first time? I mean, as smooth as that went.
I don't think you write a check or create a check like that if that's your first time. I mean,
yeah.
If it's that detailed.
So he ended up going to jail.
So I was going to ask y'all did press.
He did spend a little bit of time. He was supposed to do restitution.
That's a felony charge too.
Yeah. So anyway, so we were really blessed in the scheme of things. At the end, we probably were out $10,000, and really looking at the whole thing, that's such a blessing for how much worse it could have been. So
that's a bigger number than
$100,000.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway.
So how hard was the house to sell?
Was
it hard?
Well, we went in and we did some landscaping. We had an agent that listed it at nothing to help us out.
Yeah.
The agent, when we had originally done the closing, the agent that was representing the buyer, that agent that brought that deal to us, felt bad and didn't take a commission. So that was nice. So those all helped to offset the cost, because that agent was mortified. He had no clue that his buyer was going to do that to us.
Yeah.
And he's somebody that we work with a lot. And so anyway, it was just a really bizarre deal.
Wow.
I mean, I don't even know where to go from
crazy.
that. Do you? that is insane.
That is
I mean,
insane.
so is this guy
But
still
that's
live
the
around
world we
here?
live in. That's the world we live in.
Do you think he
I
still
think
lives?
so.
Really?
Probably, yeah.
Have you bumped into
never
him?
no, and I wouldn't know him if he walked in here. John. I don't think John would even recognize him.
Well,
but anyway, that's you always hear about fraud happening in real estate. You don't ever think it could be that way.
Yeah.
A buyer bringing in a check like that and thinking they're going to get to live in a house and everything be fine.
Yeah.
And them not really, their check not be good. So I think he kept thinking he was going to get money in and then he could cover that check. I really do think that's what he thought. I'm not sure, but anyway, it was really insane.
What was I mean, we're not going. I don't want to know, but like, was it like a bank? A check that was like, oh, that's a reputable bank? Or
like Chase.
That?
I mean, it was a big one of those big. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't know if it was like one of these, local banks were like, hey guys, like.
I think if you're good, you can make a cashier's check look like any bank that does business. If you're in the business and you can do that and you can present it. And I don't, mean to give anybody ideas, but
that's like the business we need to be in.
No, actually, do not, dude.
Isn't that wild?
I'm just kidding.
Isn't that really wild?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So
how long ago was that?
That was probably 5 years ago. So it's been a while. Yeah.
So is anything like that? Have y'all caught? How often do you run into a fraud situation in your title business?
It's more on the rise now, but I can say this was probably at least 5-6 years ago. I was in a closing. This is when we were in the Brandon office, and I had done the closing, and I handed the seller, a proceeds check. Mm-hmm. And I went back to make copies, and the paralegal that worked that file said, hey, I just got an email from that seller. She actually wants a wire. I said, oh, okay, good deal. So when I went back in to give out copies, I said, oh, I'll take your check back. I said, you want a wire, so we can wire that. And she said, I didn't say I wanted a wire, and I thought to myself, okay, lady, you just emailed. I mean, and so I said, well, you emailed, and said and she said, I didn't send an email. And I said, well, hold on. And so I went back and anyway, the email address looked like it was her. I mean, and so, but luckily, I mean, we called it and she said that, and so anyway, that's why we really, if you're a seller and we're going to wire your proceeds, if you don't physically give us wiring instructions at the closing, let's say you call us because you're out of state and you haven't come to your closing, you used a mobile notary or whatever the case is. If you don't physically give us the wiring instructions, then we are going to call you before we send that wire. We're going to be really peculiar about it because people can hack in. What they'll do is they're going to watch your email, okay? They're going to watch the deals you're working. And at some point, they're going to see you're working with a seller or buyer. And let's say you've got a buyer. And they're going to send an email, and they're going to realize who your closing agent is because they've hacked into your email, okay? And they're kind of watching your emails between the closing attorney and your buyer and maybe the lender. And so they see what's going on in your transaction. And then what they do is they send an email to the buyer. And it looks like, let's say if I'm the closing attorney, it looks like it's from me. Yeah. And they say, hey, you're going to wire your earnest money. Here are the wiring instructions. Yeah. And so that person has been getting emails all along, and they have no clue that it's fraudulent. So as an agent, it's good too to tell your buyer and your seller ahead of time, hey, anytime before you send money, talk to me first. Let's make sure it's the right account. It's not somebody, because they're unfortunately hacking through these agents' emails. Yeah. And so anyway, so that's happened. And then also with payoffs, we have to be really careful. If we're doing, you come in here and you're my seller and you have a payoff, let's say with Bank of America, I'm going to call bank. I'm going to verify that the wiring instructions I have on that payoff are correct, because I don't want to send your payoff to some person out of the country that's not really Bank of America. Gosh, so anyway, it's kind of overkill, and I know sometimes when we're working with people, they think, wow, they're like really weird about this, but we do it. And not that we want to do all these extra steps because it's more work, but we have to do that to be so careful because they're so good out there.
You're talking about your biggest investment, a lot of money changing hands.
It's a lot of money.
I think I appreciate the protection.
And when we explain to people, hey, we're just doing this, we're just doing this as extra precaution, then they understand.
Absolutely. What's it add to the closing? In the grand scheme of things, another 5 minutes maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
10, maybe.
And let's say for some reason we have a payoff we want to wire and we can't get that lender for some reason on the phone, or we can't get confirmation, we'll actually overnight a check then. We just don't do a wire, you know? So anyway.
Be patient, people.
That's crazy. What was the one that happened recently with Weichert? They try to do...
That was me.
Was that you with the roof? There was one where
an out-of-state person. I can't... Oh, that was a broker.
Yeah.
They did something with the roof. I can't remember.
They tried to pull a fraud deal on them with a roof, and actually dropped the material off or something.
Yeah, it was weird.
I'm I don't know, destroying this story, but there was one. I mean, you just got to be careful with everything.
Yeah,
they're trying to get you from every angle.
The wire fraud seems like the easiest way they try to get in on it. And what happened to me,
they ended up catching it. They didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, I fell to this. I mean, as a realtor, we're running and gunning, and then, you get somebody calls you, and it's not like we don't work with out-of-state people, so it's not abnormal. So I had an out-of-state person, call me or got referred to me, and
is this the $1 million one?
Yeah. But this it started sounding real peculiar because they're out of state, and so we got to do buyer agencies and all this stuff, that we should be doing anyway before all the lawsuit stuff with NAR. But but they were wanting, where it started getting real fishy is that they were wanting to buy this house per se for their
was it a daughter?
Their kid,
or somebody?
a daughter that was going to nursing school, but it was like a $1-point-something million house in Palisades on the reservoir. And I'm like, who's buying their daughter to go to? Like, I get if she's in AKA med school, but then they start asking me all these questions about the schools around. And I was like, there's no way. You don't even know what schools around here. And so I was talking to Weichert about this on our team about all this going down, and what we learned is, or what I learned, because I didn't know, this is my first time, I didn't dive all the way in with them, but what they try to do is send big earnest money,
and then they want to get it back.
Yeah,
they say I'm pulling out.
So you've heard,
and so what they'll have done is maybe send a check, and it's not good, and then the agent or either you or the closing attorney, whoever deposited the money, you don't know yet that it's not good, and then they want a refund, and so they get you that way.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what happened with the roofing deal, is that it seemed like a legit roofing deal, and they
That's
said,
exactly
"Hey, we're
what happened.
wiring you the money to get all this done," and then they turned around and told Clay something like, "Hey,
We're not doing
I got to
we're not doing
put, yeah, we're not doing it. Some they had a family
Something
emergency.
came up,
We need
they're
that money back."
acting
And he
like
was
they're
like,
crying
"When the
and-
wire clears, I'll send it
Yeah,
back."
yeah,
And-
good for
and-
him for
Yeah, so
realizing.
so new agents out there or any seasoned agents just got to be on your
Be
We
aware.
just have to be aware.
be aware of the weird stories. and
We've
wiring.
noticed more, or now it's a policy, and it's also because our insurance carriers require us to do this, but it's
the
good.
E&O folks.
Well, the who we write title insurance to, First
Oh,
American,
okay,
I mean Fidelity, Stewart Title, that kind of thing, is when you have a seller that's not coming to closing, which is fine. I mean, there's sellers that can't come; they're out of state, they're traveling, whatever the case may be. We live in a real mobile world now, but we require a mobile notary go to them. We don't just let them use their friend at the bank or their friend that's a neighbor.
Yeah.
And so, and that's because people will find.
That's smart.
Let's say we've got you find a property here in Rankin County and you see that it doesn't have a lien on it. And so this person and John Smith owns this property, okay? And anybody can find out who owns property.
Sure.
And so what they do is they say, okay, John Smith owns a 20-acre tract in Rankin County and there's no home and there's no lien on it. And so they call you. They call and they say, I want you to list this property. Oh, man, great, okay. And so you work with them, and the whole time you send them documents, and you don't meet them, and that's okay. And they list with you, and you get it sold. And then you call me, and Shannon, we need to close this. Okay, great. And so we never meet Mr. Smith. And guess what? Mr. Smith is not really Mr. Smith.
Oh my God.
And so and so they're picking properties that don't have a lien on them because that's easy and there's more equity and also land instead of a home, because it's harder to do that with a home and people in it and that kind of thing. I mean, it still does happen, but we had that in Madison, and so we got a contract, and the list agent didn't know the person. The person was from out of state. And so that person kept giving the paralegal grief about using this mobile notary. They didn't want to do that. And so anyway, long story short, it was a fraudulent. It was a fraudulent
Yellow
person.
flags, red flags start going up. You
Yeah.
got to pay attention to those.
So we send out a letter to the actual record holder, and we contact them. Hey, we've received a contract. Are you wanting to sell your 20 acres? And this man called and said, no, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who y'all are. What's going on? And we're like, well, and so anyway, we called it, but that was all. I mean, had we just said, okay, Mr. Smith, oh yeah, you're not, you're. This guy's a really nice guy. He's really enjoyable to talk to. I mean, his neighbor's a notary. Shannon, is that okay? And, a lot of times you're going to say, yeah, I want to make it easier and that'd be cheaper. We don't have to hire a mobile notary for him and stuff. But
trying to help them out.
Try to help them out. And she just said from the very beginning, that paralegal said, it just didn't feel right to me. Something wasn't. And so she really, and then when he pressed her about using that mobile notary, it all came to light. So now we're really, when people don't come in here to sign their paperwork, we're really more peculiar about how we let them execute those documents and stuff, because we just need it to be the person that it's really supposed to be. I mean, we're not trying
to sell somebody else's land.
And that's made people, people a little more frustrated or whatever and don't understand. And it's again not because we're trying to be difficult, not because we're trying to make it extra hard or make it more, but because
That's
we actually use BankServe and they have notaries.
I think it's unfortunate. It's exactly what I was going to get at. Is like it's just the world we're in now. I mean, and
just makes all of our job harder because you're trying to not only do your transaction, but you're trying to fight fraud.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's kind of scary thinking about the new technology with AI and everything, and these deep fakes that they're doing these days.
Good.
You can literally sound like somebody else on the phone, and I mean, I could, with some of the technology today, I could call Tripp, or Sarah could call Tripp, and it would talk, and it would sound like it was me talking to Tripp. Now, I would never do that, or we would never do that.
I don't know, you might.
But I might
as a joke,
yeah. But that's the reality. That's
scary.
where we're going with technology, and AI has just gotten to that. It's insane. So we're going to have to be on our on our toes with everything in the future, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But this is the way you do it. You talk about it.
That's
and
right.
Learn from everybody else, and that's why we do this podcast.
Well, and it's nice too, because if anybody watch it, or you guys, if you have one now and you get a settlement statement and you see an extra fee because your seller's out of state and they want to, then you kind of know, hey, let me tell you why they're doing this. They're not just a difficult office. Or, they're not just trying to This is why.
Well, the protection should mean more in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody, and because we are at a fast pace. Like, hey, I want to sign this and get out and go get my house or whatever. And I've got this next meeting, this, that, and other. But
e-signatures and everything's just moved
most
so much
people's
quicker.
biggest investment is the house, and so that should take time. And let's make sure we get it right.
That's
right.
And so we don't have
problems.
Title attorneys buying houses and having to sell.
And you know, and people say, okay, especially
Lord.
on that deal, which is really odd, and certainly we make mistakes. You know, we'll be the first to say that. I mean, because we're not perfect.
human.
But on that
Everybody's
one,
human.
we didn't even make a mistake. I mean, we
No,
didn't
you
do
did everything
anything different than
right.
we normally would
Right.
have. And so
Right.
that's what's so wild. It's like, because somebody said, what would you have done different? Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, because I take cashier checks all day, every day from people that come in for closings.
Yeah.
So,
Does the
It's just one you
electron-
don't see coming.
I know.
So does all the electronic filing and like the e-signatures, is that kind of, you know, because everything used to be inked, and now you can, like you said, out of state people, you can overnight the packages, but to maybe get them But now people are starting to go towards e-sig signatures.
Well, yeah. Now, like on a deed and loan documents, they don't. You know, people have to wet sign those. We can do electronic recording, which is a little wild to me. You don't actually have to take that deed that you've just signed conveying property to me, wet signature. I don't actually have to take that document to the courthouse, and that's a little strange. I can literally take it and load it. Most counties in Mississippi, not all of them, but most allow that and it makes it more convenient. But it's like, I mean,
I know. I just wonder if that's going to be, if there's a loophole. I don't know. I'm not trying to. I don't want anybody trying to find it. You know, you think about that
it's
type
just a lot of
moving parts.
Moving
I mean, in a
parts.
real estate deal, there's a lot of moving parts anyway.
It's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and look, I want to say something else too. Talking about the house, I mean, kudos to y'all for buying the house.
Yeah,
and doing that. I was
Well, we
thinking
had
about
to.
that.
I mean, we didn't have a choice. We had to
But
because
still,
we
I mean-
had. I mean, that was our only way to get money back. He didn't have money, and we had already dispersed. So I mean, that was our only asset. So we had.
Did you just
We
wanna,
even
like,
actually
throw
I
up after
I
that?
left her anyway, but it ended up all working out. So
good.
I'm with Ryan though. Did you have like in the vault? Like this is kind of going into y'all's. But when you and Johnny get home, was it like a what the heck moment? Like, or was it like panic? I would have been.
When the banker called and said, I thought to myself, "You've really got to be kidding." You know, I mean, like really?
Yeah.
I just took really that, you know, and then just to call him and be like, he just was so nonchalant, like, okay, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I'll get you the money tomorrow. It's like,
No.
okay. I mean, you know, and so he never came up with the money. So that was our only, it was only our our asset.
I just know that I can go into
So
4-alarm fire mode quick. Like
just-
sometimes I'll over it out.
But you know, there was nothing we
what
could
else
do.
can you do?
There was
Yeah.
nothing we could do. I mean, if he didn't have the money, there was, you know,
I'd have cried.
I just gotta
it
say,
was
I
just
might have
like,
cried a
wow.
little bit.
There's nothing we can do. We got to buy this
You
house. We
know.
got to sell it. That's the only way we can get it back.
Yeah. So another reason that kind of shows you too why a lot of times closing agents only will take a wire from another closing agent. And again, like I was talking one time to James, you know, I said, hey, it's not that I don't trust my colleagues. I mean, these on Lakeland, Welch, James, I mean, you know, we all work together or whatever, but I never know if something like that's happened to you. And so not that you would mean, any other agent would mean to give me a bad check, but what if, you know, so just a wire is what, you know, and like most other agents require another wire from another closing office. So anyway, I know it's crazy, isn't it?
Wow.
Really crazy.
I had one. I was waiting on it to close and kind of get out of the way so I could share. I won't take a long on this
Be
story.
careful.
Yeah, but and we closed on one. It was a different law firm and title attorney. But
You have to apologize to Shannon though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Shane.
Shame on you.
Sorry. And so anyway, we go into we're getting ready for closing, and both the seller and buyer are there, and we had a situation on an easement this was in Hinds County, but the easement was not in the description of the property, which caused a problem because you got to have everything there. You can't, and the attorney's not going to close, and you know all that stuff. So anyway, this caused a problem. So we had to have a neighbor who was part of the easement come and sign. Well, he didn't want to sign because he didn't like the neighbors that were moving in next door.
Yeah.
And so he came up there And we look and we're watching. I'm like, all right, please show up,
Right.
because we're not closing. On top of this
Yeah.
whole situation, I'll say this too. There was like 3 houses in a row, so we had to close on
affected by that,
ours.
yeah. It was a triple.
Yeah,
Triple,
yeah.
yeah. So they're buying a house, and when they sell theirs, they're buying a house.
You
They're under
really needed the
contract.
season.
There's several contracts going on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy has got to show up. And this was a last minute find on the situation. If we had closed here, it'd probably been much quicker. We'd have found it so much faster, Shannon. I just know we would have. But anyway, anyways, we're all sitting there looking and we're waiting, and this guy comes pulling up, and he sits there for a second, and he gets out, and this big old pit bull jumps out. I'm like, surely he's not walking in there with this pit bull.
Yeah.
And he goes in there, and then he's got a gun on him and all these things. I'm like, really? Do we really have to do this? And all my
He was showing you he wasn't happy.
yeah, the buyers are over there like, what's going on? I'm like, nothing. Everything is fine. We're gonna be fine. We got to get some paperwork done.
Did he
and
sign?
He signed it, and he brought the dog with him in there
Wow.
and signed everything, and we were able to move on. And it was a whole situation, but
Yeah.
that was a crazy one.
Yeah.
But
Outside of fraud, have you had anything weird at the table where where it fell apart and an awkwardness at the or just somebody gets in an all-out fight for some reason? I mean, I like to say, and knock on wood, I've had some pretty, I hadn't had a whole lot of drama connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally if it's really contentious, we'll close them separate.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And we don't have that
bad,
happen a lot, which I'm thankful.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
good. But I will say, and this is a plug for title insurance.
Yeah, do it
there you
for
go.
sure.
So title insurance is a product that you can buy at closing. It's an insurance policy that protects your equity in the property during your ownership and even after you own the property. If for some reason you were possibly drug into a lawsuit or something, it could come into play then. It's a one-time fee. You pay it, one time. It's not an ongoing annual type fee. And it just covers you if there were some fraud in the chain of title or something like that. Now, title insurance is not going to cover you if there's a line dispute, and you and I should have gotten a survey. And so now I say my property's here and you go, no, it's here. That's not necessarily title insurance.
Right.
But anyway, it's a good thing to get. And
Sure.
with the fraud that we're seeing now being more prevalent, we've talked about that a little bit. We, certainly
Yeah.
think title insurance is a good deal. This happened recently, or in 23. We had a seller come in and sell some land, and she was purporting to be the only owner.
This is a
of the
story
land.
you're
Yes.
Okay.
So she comes in, she's the seller, and she inherited this from a family member. And the family member had passed away for over 3 years ago, so no estate was required to probate. And there were heirship affidavits that she had already had people do saying that she was the only heir to this person.
Looking good so
So
far.
title's good. I mean, there's no, we've got what we need. We don't require a probate. We've got these heirships already recorded, so we think that she is the only owner, And so we let this buyer walk out and buy this property. And then the buyer turns around and 2 years later sells the property, and a new person gets it.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and so everything's rocking along. Well,
Kind of see.
so this person also goes to some other offices and sells other property, okay, and does this, and everything's fine. And this happened years ago, okay? And so I get a phone call one day, and it's a lady calling for her family member that's a minor, and says, hey, he was, I've got a general question for you. Don't you inherit if you're da-da-da? Yes, ma'am, you're right. Well, this person, this grandchild of mine, so to speak, he is the son of so-and-so. And I think y'all, and I was like, oh, wow. And so I pulled the file, and from 2 years ago, I thought, yeah, I mean, she came in here and purported to be the only heir, and she's not. I mean, we've got a 17-year-old that's also an heir. So let me tell you, that 17-year-old owns part of this property. And he inherited it just like she did.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the 17-year-old, the only thing he can do now is file a lawsuit, right? Because he was the owner of this property, and now this property has been sold. And so he gets to, unfortunately, these innocent purchasers get drug into a lawsuit. Of course, they
sure.
didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And the blessing is the title insurance carrier, they both buyers, the one in 23 and then again the buyer in 25, they bought owner's title insurance at closing. And so that policy is going to step in and protect their equity in this lawsuit.
Wow.
And so really, we know who the bad actor is in this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the girl, but when
Sure.
she doesn't have any money to pony up for this child, somebody's going to have, I mean, he needs to get paid.
Yeah.
And so,
Was there any way that she could have innocently done that, or did she knowingly do that?
I can't,
The you may not be able to talk about that part.
I think she knew.
Okay.
I mean, she got people to sign airship affidavits stating she was the only heir, and she knew she wasn't.
Gotcha.
So I'm assuming, she I think handled people getting these airship affidavits.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I think that yes, that she knew, and I don't know if she had intentions possibly to pay him later. That's what the family member said, that she had indicated to the child, well, when you get older, I'm going to pay you your half.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Well,
but the good thing is,
that gets a little fishy right
you
there.
never want to call and have to tell somebody, I did your closing. I want to let you know you're fixing to be in a lawsuit. Somebody else owns this property that I let you buy.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's tough. But the
Yeah.
good thing was I could say, you bought an owner's policy. That's great. You're going to turn this over to your carrier. They're going to provide you and you're going to, again, I'm sorry, but I mean,
I mean,
just,
that's a good reason why you need to go ahead and get title insurance
yeah.
So
for sure.
I am literally asking this because
Sure.
I need to know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does the ownership, the title insurance, who does it make whole? Does
The person that bought it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but does the land go back to the 17?
I don't know what will happen. I feel like probably, and I don't need to speak out of turn. I feel like what will happen is the title insurance carrier will probably pay the boy, because I don't think
That's
the boy
what I was
will,
thinking, right.
but I don't know how everything will go down.
Like maybe sorry the land was done this way, but the insurance company's going to make him whole. Maybe on some type of. That's where I was trying to think. Like, okay, what avenue do you take?
They're going to try to make sure. Let's say the person is you, and you bought the property. They want to make you whole. I mean, they want you to either own the land or you get the money back that you paid for it.
I think. I mean, because there's
Or
so much,
whatever the policy amount was.
Yeah, because there's so much moving parts to that like you said, when it changes hands, what if somebody builds their custom home on that house?
Yeah, and that's
On that land,
and that's
you
something
know?
to think
Yeah,
about. You can
that-
always increase your policy. So I've had people come in here and say, "Hey, I'm buying this right now, but I'm going to do some work on this, and it's going to be worth a lot more." And I say, "Well, then we need to do your policy more."
Well, that's that's
we want to
another-
cover you for whatever
Yeah,
it's
for
going to be
sure.
worth. So if something happens,
That's a great. That's something else good. So it's almost like, so obviously, like you said, this is not your hazard insurance, like insurance that I can provide for home and auto stuff. But if you do something like that with your title, you can endorse that policy to increase the value.
you can increase it.
Okay,
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like you do in your world.
Yeah.
Your insurance.
And you
side.
see, and like
Yeah,
I
we can make
said,
those changes.
Yeah, and with insurance, with owner's title insurance, you may even have to use it after you sell the land, because the 23 buyer, the first buyer, sold it. So you would think, well, they're out of it.
Yeah.
But they warranted title. So they're in it, but they also got a policy. So that policy is going to protect them even after they owned it. You see what I'm saying? They're not even the owner anymore. So you
fantastic.
kind of think, well, they're out of it. They're not the owner anymore. Well, no, they've been drug into a lawsuit. So thank heavens they got title insurance to help them. So
How is it priced? How is it rated? Like if you buy, is it all size of land?
it's the
if there's
price.
a structure
So
on
if
it?
you're
Oh, there's
just if you're getting a lender, and all mortgage loans require title insurance. So if you're also getting title insurance at that time, you get a simultaneous issue rate. So it's not much more.
Yeah.
But if you come in and you're just paying cash and you're buying $100,000 piece of property and you want to insure it for $100,000, it's $4 a thousand. So it's a $400 one-time
It
fee
is a nothing expense to protect your asset.
to protect your equity. Yeah.
Super important.
And then too, it could also not even be fraud. Like you could have a lien that's misindexed from the clerk at the courthouse, and they didn't do the name right. So when we ran title, it didn't show up.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, we didn't catch it because it didn't show up. Yet you own this property, and there was a lien attached, and it becomes a problem for you. So there's also, there's a lot of different things, scenarios that can kind of be missed, go wrong, that kind of thing.
I see all the time when I look at tax records, or, public records, things that are wrong all the time, all the time, and that'll come back and probably bite you if
you just got to be careful. And as an agent, you don't want to ever, sometimes your client's going to look at you at closing and say, do I need to do this? I don't really know what this is. And they're going to look to you. You've been working with them the whole time. And so sometimes agents say, well, I wouldn't worry about it. And I think, oh, I hope there's not a problem because
I think in the
they
world,
relied to you.
I was going to ask you that too. Like, how many people, because I've asked, and I've had people straight up say, like, no, I don't need it. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And then, and then there's people that are worried about, in this day and age, cost of everything. So they're like, well, this is an extra cost at closing, and maybe I don't have that.
That's right, and you don't have to get it. I mean,
But I think,
and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to need it. I mean, thank heavens,
Yeah, but that 10th.
So I wouldn't.
There's always that one time.
That one time. I mean,
but I would say these days, I mean, title insurance, we see it on a good bit. To begin with, these days, it's put on the CD originally if you have a mortgage loan. It's required. So unless the lender ahead of the closing asks us to take it off,
to do that.
We're going to have it on there regardless.
Yep.
So we do sell a good owner's title insurance.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's a good thing.
In my opinion, in being actually in the insurance world, as I would always recommend it. Specifically now, and just say, hey, it's a minimal expense to cover a huge investment.
Yeah.
And if anything goes sideways, even 5 years from now.
And I'm gonna, and also when there have been times I had somebody say I don't want it, and I just said, hey, I didn't do this. I just kind of did it privately, but I got the buyer, and I said, we had to work a lot on this one. And there were a lot of judgments and things that showed up that we had to check on. There were just a lot of things. I really would like to see you do it on this. This is just a good one to do it. And then they'll say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm saying, just trust me. Let's do it on this. This is kind of one that we need to.
Yeah. I know this is not really your wheelhouse in law, but I think this is a good time to say in general, like, folks, get a will prepared.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I would,
put things in writing.
That's
my
important.
grandmother, I got a grandmother who's 93 years old. I love her to death, and she'll say, one day I want your sister to have this, and your mom's gonna get this, and when she'll just points out, she's at that age, she wants people to remember. She's got great.
Would you ask her to call Lindsay here at my office, please? She needs a will. She really does. Or y'all need to go in and do some deeds and get it out of her
old
name.
school Southern Belle. I'm like, we're all like, Nene, you got to put things. You need to put it in writing because we may not remember this. And my wife, she just needs to go around the furniture and start putting blue dots and yellow dots.
Okay, that's an idea.
But anyway, all that being joking aside, like seriously, wills are important because when you get into like, if somebody passed away, like you talk about estate and probate, like that even helps the judge. Like, that kid may not have been overlooked. If I don't even know how that all that stuff gets sticky. I've done plenty of probate deals. And I love all my buyers and sellers, but you do see greed take over, especially,
Sadly.
you know what I mean?
We see things, and it's so unfortunate because, we think if there had just been a will or if this had just been done correctly or whatnot, now everything is not happening the way that person wanted it to happen, and it's so unfortunate. And it could have been so easily avoided if you just take care of your business.
100%.
It's not hard to get a will. It's not expensive. It is easy, and that's the best thing to do because right now you may think everybody knows and everybody's in agreement, but that may change.
That's right.
100%. And so,
especially if you don't have it in writing.
Well, and especially as maybe if you're even a younger couple or older, your family, whatever, as they acquire more asset or whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So anyway, get a will.
Get a will. Please get a will. I'm with you. I think so. I think that's important.
Is that something that Elliott Law Firm can help people with? Is that something we want to?
Oh, y'all do have a attorney here that does.
Yes.
What did you say her name?
Lindsay Stringer.
Lindsay Stringer.
Yeah.
There you go, Lindsay.
So, shout out to Lindsay Stringer.
Yeah, y'all come up here to Elliott Law Firm and they can make that happen for you.
We'll be glad to help. Help anybody with a will. So.
What advice can you give, let's say, anybody looking to get in real estate or newer agents that may pick up this podcast about what they need to prepare for a closing before they come see you or title attorneys? I mean,
Maybe basics.
yeah, just basic stuff.
For a new agent?
Yeah, just kind of give some pointers of like what y'all
Well,
look for.
I think it would be a good idea for a newer agent to go with a seasoned agent to a closing or two before they have their
100%.
own.
Yeah,
You'll
agreed.
know kind of
Yeah.
how you sit at the closing table, what happens. You know, I had an agent one time come in and she was new and she asked where she was supposed to sign. You know, and and that's okay. It's not that, you know, we didn't make up it. It was just like, I just said, oh, you don't have to sign anything. You're good. You know, but I thought you can tell, you know.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to follow, you know, and then also when you get a settlement statement, a breakdown, to have a seasoned agent or somebody, the
Explain what
lender, the
everything
closing
is.
agent, call us and go over it in detail. First of all,
100%,
make sure it's correct. Every agent needs to check their
So
settlement
I'm
statements.
sorry to cut you off. Explain this settlement statement real quick.
So
That'd be
the-
a good thing to.
Yeah, so the settlement statement is a breakdown of the buyer and seller cost associated with the closing. So the settlement statement represents what the contract states.
Yeah.
So on the settlement statement, you're going to have the price, you're going to have who's getting paid, your agents, your payoff, you're going to see proration of taxes, homeowner dues, lease fees. You're going to see where we've collected for a termite if one was provided. If there are any invoices that have to be paid, we put that on the settlement statement. And it's just a breakdown of everything happening in the transaction. And it goes through the closing office. All money comes to me and then money comes from me. So I pay everybody, but I take the money in. And so, you know, I might miss that your deal had a home warranty. And, you know, because I may be working on a lot of them that day. So when I send that settlement statement out to the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, I'm depending on y'all to review that because I want you to call and say, hey, I think you missed the home warranty. Thank you. Let me add that and I'll resend it. You know, and so I'm surprised sometimes when agents say, yeah, I just don't, you know, I trust you. And I'm like, and I appreciate it, but I need you to check that because you've worked the deal. You really know it better than me. You know, and also if y'all decided something after the contract that I don't know about, I can't put it on the settlement statement. So that's another important thing. If you've got, you know, if something changes and you do an addendum to change the price or the closing cost, or
Make sure and send that over.
please send that over.
Yeah.
You know,
Any
we
change.
have kind of found that we're a lot of times the last to know. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, this is true. One time we had a closing and we had it ready and we had it up here in the front ready to go. And time came, people didn't come. We said, so we called the person. They said, oh, that deal fell through. We were like,
Whoa!
oh wow, like we were totally ready for y'all.
1,000%
letting
need
us
to
know.
know.
Nobody told us. We literally thought the deal was on. We had worked up the statement,
I mean, what do
sent
you
it
do?
out. Nobody responds. We just didn't have a closing.
That goes back to several podcasts when we first started with I think we hammered communication. I think we still do.
Yeah, for sure.
Because as a real
Yeah.
estate agent, you're not just communicating with your buyer seller, you're communicating with
Yes,
all the
yes.
moving parts.
That's right.
The
And when you, as
attorneys,
let's say,
inspections.
let's say you've got the buyer paying you 0.5% on this deal,
Yeah.
okay? We need to know that from the get-go, and the lender needs to know that. And that's sometimes, that is something that we, you know, we'll send out the settlement statement the day of closing. Hey, you don't have my 0.5%. Wait, you're supposed to get 0.5%. I'm supposed to get 0.5%. Then the lender sometimes would maybe have to go through. I mean, you know, we just kind of need to know. We need to know from the get-go.
Yeah.
It makes everything a lot
That
easier.
happens, doesn't it, Ryan?
And I mean, we're all human. I mean, you know, we forget stuff too.
Is that too soon? Is that
No,
too
it's
soon?
not too soon. I'll be happy to share what I did.
No,
It was a-
Did you
I made a
forget? It's
mistake. I made a
okay.
Well, I
mistake.
don't know if you
and,
forgot. I think I'll let you tell it. Your
Yeah,
story.
it was a mistake. Well, and you know, the attorney they sent me an email saying, you know, what's the split with the
what's the
buyer
commission?
and seller commissions, and like y'all do, and it wasn't y'all, it was somebody else. But I sent it to them, and I accidentally sent that I was getting the lower percentage on the deal. Total mistake. Well, we get to closing, and mind you, this closing had been pushed back 3 months. This was like 5 o'clock on a Friday. Everybody was at the closing table ready to be done with this. My sellers had moved out. I mean, I can't even begin.
It was
That's
a
a whole
mental
nother podcast on
Yeah,
everything that had come up. It culminated to this point. And so we get to it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm at the closing table. And buyers are there, sellers are there, everybody's there. And I'm sitting there, and the attorney comes in. He goes, "Here's the settlement statement." And that was, and like I hadn't seen it up until this point because they just finished it.
They just have gotten it. That's
And
right. Sometimes it's
at 5
last
o'clock,
minute because
sure.
because
That's okay. And I'm looking at it, I'm going over everything. Of course, my client's just like, "Here, you do this.
Yeah.
Tell me what this is and if it's okay." And I'm like, "Okay." So I'm looking at it, and I go through and everything, and I get to the part where it's the commissions, and mine is substantially less than the buyer agent, and I'm like, man, do I need to say something about? And y'all got to understand my heart. Like, I don't want to be sitting in a room with a bunch of people saying, "Where's my money at?"
Yeah.
And which we do this for a living, so we got to get paid. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, I'm just going to bless my client here. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I didn't negotiate anything lower than what I said. And so I just kind of left it alone. When we got done, I didn't know how or what happened.
Yeah.
I just said, let's just close. Let's go. Let's move on. And so I get in the car and I called up my broker and I'm like, man, I don't know what happened. He was like, well, let me know what happened. I was like, I'll let you know when I find out. So I get to the end of this thing and I find out that I actually sent the email. You know, because going back, like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I told y'all at the beginning, but at the time I didn't know that I did that.
Yeah.
I get done and I go, man, I kick myself. It hurt so bad because I cost myself, money, but I also looked at it as, okay, I just blessed my client. It'll be fine, whatever. But that is a mistake that I made. I will never do that again. I need to slow down when you get busy and you get to do it.
And that was the point.
Lots of
probably
deals.
could have even said, I think I may have given y'all my commission wrong, and they
Sure,
could have,
sure.
but I know it is a little sticky at that point.
I probably should have,
but-
and I was, my heart, y'all, I just didn't want to make it any more of
whatever.
of a
You handled
hassle
it the
than
right way.
It was. So it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
And
They'll
look,
be acting weird, and
I don't care if you're new or seasoned or whatever. These mistakes are going to
most
happen.
people probably listening too, and they're probably going,
I've done that before. Yeah,
I'd have done,
well,
I'd have said
yeah,
something.
I'd
I'd
said
have got my
something.
money.
You don't know.
But
you don't know
it's
how
not
you do
about
it.
that at that point. It's about getting my.
But that's
my
the
seller's house.
Yeah, and so that was it was a learning thing. But in our
Yeah.
business, we're constantly doing that because
And we all
mistakes
learn
will
every day.
100%.
You'd think, I've done this over 20 years. You'd think I'd kind of seen it all. I promise. I see new stuff all the time.
yeah, for
And I
sure.
have
And
to
things
ask my
change.
underwriter too questions. I don't know what to do when I get back a title that has this kind of issue. And I'm telling you, it's just, we always are learning.
Well, that's having shadowing somebody at a closing table for new realtors is really good advice. And y'all, I wasn't great at accounting when I was in college, and those settlement statements it's like credit debit type thing.
It can be kind of confusing.
And there's a lot of numbers on there.
Yeah.
And so it takes time to read those things and make sure everything equals up. And so so that's important for sure. And you don't want to fake
You don't. And
going
I
through that and
Yeah.
it not be right, because you could hurt your buyer seller.
And I think too, let's say you don't have the opportunity, you're a new agent, and you don't have anybody to shadow, and you have your first closing, and let's say they didn't get the settlement statement, or I think, I like to know when somebody sends me one and the agent tells me, hey, this will be my first closing. Like, I want to know that because I'm gonna let the paralegal know that's working with that agent. This is the first one, and explain whatever. But let's say you come in here and it is your first one, and you don't know what's going on, and there's been really nobody to help you. I think you're fine to say, guys, I'm excited to be here, y'all. This is my first one. Let's go over this slowly because I want to make sure everything's right, and I'm learning too. And I think that's okay. We all start somewhere.
Exactly. That's the
Absolutely.
other thing. Everybody starts somewhere.
I want to shout out you real quick.
I didn't do
because
did I do something?
you have done a lot, and I just want to make it public. Like, I appreciate you. Y'all, Tripp has been he's been like a mentor to me when I got into real estate. Tripp was like my go-to guy. I'm like, hey, dude, what do I do in this situation?
So nice to have somebody.
Just going back to what you're saying, whether it's your first or whatever, you need somebody to help you, and Tripp's been that for me.
That's awesome. And even if you don't, like, let's say you get one and you think, I'm kind of confused on taxes or whatever, just still ask. Well, because it can be confusing, this stuff, homestead, non-homestead, paying the difference, all that kind of thing sometimes can be.
100%. Well, when I got into business, I had help, and I had mentor stuff, people that I looked up to, and I asked for help, and they're so great. And I'm still friends with them today.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what brokers they're in or whatever else. And I talk to them on the reg. I see them on the reg. I still reach out and ask them questions.
Yeah.
But and I think, and so of course, why would I not do that for somebody who I also love and respect, and he's wanting to get in the game, and he's taken off. He doesn't need. He's been great, but we all need that, and I think that was the whole premise behind this podcast, talking
Absolutely.
to people who are in real estate and touch it and are involved in our industry that we can pick up pointers from, title stuff,
Yeah.
settlement, hear great
Absolutely.
stories, but also with other realtors because we have learned off of everybody we've talked to and communicated with and built relationships, and that's what it's all about, you know.
Sure.
And the communication.
We're really we're all in this together, and
Absolutely.
y'all. We want to get this. We all want to get this thing to the closing table
100%.
none of us, that's
Sure.
that's what we rely on.
Yeah,
so
the
we
end
got
of the day,
to work together.
sure.
you know?
Everybody has the same common goal. There's
That's
a
right.
property that wants to be sold, and somebody wants to buy it, and we
We
all
need to
want
make
that
it happen. Yeah, we all got to work together.
That's
It's like
exactly
teamwork.
right.
Really, it
100%.
is.
Whether you want to or not, you probably will at some point.
Yeah.
You know, if you stay in
100%.
this game.
Yeah, yeah.
So why not all join in together and have a
And
community
help,
around
yeah,
this? And
Exactly.
Exactly.
that was our whole
That was it. That was the whole
beginning
premise,
thing
for
at the
sure.
beginning, for sure.
I don't know. Why don't you plug your location? Plug Elliott again. I know you did it on the first one, or maybe your any other
And this is
employee, your
Yeah.
will.
also
folks
this
or
is our
whatever.
first 2-part podcast.
Yeah, that was great.
We had so much that we made this so this will be 2 separate.
Separate.
And we just appreciate you willing to do
I've
the
enjoyed
2-part.
it.
Yeah.
I
Thank
love
you
to
so
talk
much.
about.
And thanks for having us in your office. This
Yeah.
was our first
Well, yeah.
time to go outside of
y'all. I
our
hope it
outside of
wasn't
our
Too much of a
facility.
hassle
Yeah.
for Sarah to
Yeah.
set
No.
this up.
But I didn't mean to cut off. But yeah, please tell everybody where you're at here in the Flowwood location.
Okay, so we're here in Flowwood and in Madison. Flowwood, we're in the Half Shell building off Lakeland Drive.
Ryan's favorite restaurant.
His favorite place. Probably going there after the podcast.
Plug to Half Shell.
Half Shell is wonderful. Yeah, and let's see, we do wills and estate work. Lindsay here in our office does that, so we can help you with that. And then we do real estate closings: buy, sell, refinance, land or commercial, residential. We have an office in Madison. I can't think of the address right off.
Sorry, John.
I always say it's close to the Caboose in downtown.
We'll throw it in
Madison.
here in the video. We'll
Yeah.
have to throw
So
that in there.
anyway, and we'd love to, help you with your real estate needs. And I thought last week when we were talking, I didn't mention this, and I should have. I'm really blessed with a great team. If I didn't have a good team, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And again, while we're not perfect and we certainly make mistakes, we have a group that cares and that tries hard, and they've built a lot of relationships with a lot of agents that kind of just use one certain paralegal because they're used to working with them and like them. And so anyway, it's worked well, but I really do appreciate all their hard work. There have been times they've stayed late, worked hard, answered questions on the weekend, at night, just kind of whatever it takes.
Where you're being the queen of closings today.
Well, I don't know about that, but
I mean, you couldn't
We
do this.
taglined you that
You
first
can't do
podcast.
this alone. You got a
we got
whole
a group.
crew
We got a
that
really
just
great group.
stands
And
behind you.
what they just care, and I so appreciate that, because a lot of them, it's not just okay, let me leave. I mean, they really do. They want to make sure that your deal is done right and that your people are taken care of, and that kind of thing.
Well,
and so I so appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, y'all built a great business, and it's a good one for our community and our area. So
Absolutely.
kudos to you and John and your
thank
team
you.
and your team
Oh,
members
thank
for
you.
sure.
I appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
I appreciate y'all asking me
You're
to do
welcome.
this.
This
I've
is
had
very
fun, and I've
welcome.
gotten to know y'all better.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's been
For sure.
nice.
It's been great. Well, I'll take us out.
Yeah, man.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Thank y'all so much for watching this episode or listening to this episode. Please do not forget to like and subscribe and all the things. We appreciate y'all. God bless.